I think the cut in the CRR is definitely a signal which will release resources through the banking system, and therefore it's a welcome step.
We are expecting between 50 to 75 basis points of repo rate cuts for the rest of the year. I think that this just strengthens or validates that forecast.
The expectation this time was really that we would also see an interest rate cut, which has not happened. But the liquidity increase in the system is of course welcome.
The high interest rates are seriously affecting GDP growth. It is affecting investment as well as consumption of things like automobiles and residential housing, which needs to be financed.
The Reserve Bank of India keeping key rates unchanged but giving a big thumbs up to the government's newfound confidence and the spate of measures that we've seen in the last few days. Hello and welcome. You're watching We Mean Business. I'm Shweta Rajpal Kohli, and on the show today we're discussing the RBI's decision to not cut interest rates as well as the politics and the economics of the reform measures. Joining me on the show today is Rahul Srivastava and Sandeep Phukan, both stalwarts in journalism, really, to talk all about the government's reform measures and what can really transpire politically. We'll also have an extended discussion on the RBI's decision to keep key rates unchanged, but that's coming up in just a bit. First up, let's take a look at the day's developments and whether we think the government can sail through with these reforms. Let's take a look.
I do not think that the government faces any threat. The government is stable. Ultimately, we will be able to convince our allies. I can quote what the Chief Minister of West Bengal said day before. She said, and I quote, "I understand the gravity of the economic crisis."
The Finance Minister, meanwhile, has promised more measures to boost the growth momentum in the economy after the Reserve Bank of India gave it a thumbs up for last week's actions. But it did not cut interest rates. Instead, it boosted more liquidity in the system, put in more cash. The Reserve Bank of India also had a message for ordinary people. The diesel hike and LPG subsidy cap that was introduced last week will fuel inflation in the short run, but in the medium term, it will strengthen the macroeconomic fundamentals.
As the UPA stares at the finishing line of a 72-hour deadline given by Mamata Banerjee to withdraw some of the key economic decisions taken last week, several senior ministers of the UPA tried to reach out, sounding conciliatory, calling Mamata Banerjee one of the most valued colleagues who would do nothing to destabilize the UPA. My colleague Monideepa Banerjee spoke to several Trinamool leaders to try and find out their key demands.
The Trinamool wants a rollback. In fact, they want a full rollback and say they will settle for nothing less. And tomorrow, when the top brass of the party meets in Kolkata, they will decide whether to go all the way and pull out of UPA 2 altogether or stop short at pulling out the ministers. Either way, they say it'll be a historic meeting.
Can Mamata Banerjee be mollified? One possibility is a financial package for West Bengal. Another, a softening or a partial rollback on the LPG decision. Something that the Goa and Delhi chief ministers have done.
जो गैस सिलेंडर्स 6 को सब्सिडी दे रहा, ये बड़ी स्पष्टता से कहना चाह रही हूँ कि जिनको हम केरोसिन फ्री सिटी योजना के तहत 3-3.25 लाख परिवारों को जो हम चूल्हा दे रहे हैं गैस का, उनके हम सिलेंडर्स 9 कर देंगे.
But the bigger political challenge remains. Currently, there are 9 states and 2 union territories which are open to the contentious FDI in retail.
Will Team Manmohan Singh manage to overcome the challenges this time? Now that the first flush of excitement over the announcement of reforms is fading, the government is facing the same old question. Will it never be able to shake off the policy paralysis tag? Credit rating agencies, which have earlier slammed Manmohan Singh, are cynical. S&P says it's still uncertain at this stage if the FDI measures can be implemented. It echoed Moody's, which said the risk of rollback remains. NDTV Bureau Report.
But a very confident and beaming finance minister told NDTV there are no risks to the reforms push and that the government has no plans of any rollback. Let's listen in. So corporate India has wholeheartedly welcomed some of the steps that have been taken last week, particularly when it comes to the diesel hike or the FDI measures. Today, credit rating agencies have put out a note where they've put in a bit of a discomfort that they have in terms of citing it as rollback risks as well as implementation risks. How grave are these two risks really to some of the measures that we introduced? Rollback of the diesel hike or the LPG?
Well, that's because you guys are putting out those ideas, isn't it?
Well, we're not. It's the opposition and allies demanding it.
Demanding it is one thing. But then the opposition, which opposes a decision, will demand a rollback. But did anyone in government give you the impression that we are rolling it back?
So it's ruled out entirely.
As far as I know, we are not rolling back any of those decisions.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.